But first, we've got a lot of political news going on, and who better to talk about it with than the author of In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome, available right now at Amazon.com. And Coulter, how are you?
Fantastic. Great to be here. I think the temperature is just fine.
You women love it like this.
Yeah, well, we're always cold. So this is like
I
normal
brought all
for
these
us.
backup sweaters and shirts to sit in.
I bought a
this
Dodgers
Arctic.
fleece. I don't even need it. This is
I know.
great.
I don't need it. I
Oh
feel
my
great.
gosh. Well, there's a lot to get to in the world of politics. You've been all over this election from day one. Your book really was the speech that Trump gave when he announced that he's running for president. And now we have a neck-and-neck race as we're within the final 6 weeks of this election. Voting has actually started in some states, including Iowa, where he's leading in recent polls. What do you make of everything so far?
Well, for one thing, Trump voters, get out and register to vote, please. I read on 538 today that, yeah, Trump could. And by the way, I do think Trump will get more of the black and Hispanic vote than any other Republican. But even if he does nothing but slightly increase the white blue collar vote, yeah, he can win just with that. Unfortunately, these are people, as I describe in the book, there are people who have not voted for 20 or 30 years and they can't wait to vote for Trump. According to 538 today, unfortunately, they're not registering. So, little tip, word to the wise, you need to register to vote. And a lot of those deadlines are coming up fast. I mean, it's easy. The Democrats made it easy because they want to get all these shiftless layabouts to vote. They are about to discover what a petard is. It's very easy to register to vote. You can do it, at the Department of Motor Vehicles. You can do it at the welfare office. We tried to make it so that they'd be able to register at gun ranges. Screw
smart.
you, Democrats. If you're going to say you can register to vote at the welfare office, we're going to say you can do it at the gun range. But it's very easy. Just figure out how to do it and register to vote, Trump voters.
What do you think is going to happen electorally? Because we've seen a difference right now. First, there was a shift in the national polls where we saw Trump coming back there, but he was still behind electorally. If you looked at all the state polls, she still had the necessary electoral votes to win. But now states like Ohio, Florida,
I mean, he's
Iowa,
even close in states like Minnesota and Michigan, and even Colorado is now back in play, which she had basically pulled out because she said she thought she had it wrapped up in the bag. But what do you make of that he's...
Well, I still think he's going to win. I've always thought he's going to win, not as clearly as I thought he was going to be the nominee. But I got to tell you, 60% chance of Trump winning. I did not think America had a 60% chance 1 year ago. Well, maybe a year ago because Trump was running. But before that Mexican rapist speech, I wouldn't have given America a 10%. It was probably about a 10-20% chance. I mean, that's why I wrote Adios America. I didn't think it was completely over, but it was pretty darn close. And so 60% chance of saving America is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. And I do think, what's interesting to me is Trump had, let's be honest, a lazy and self-indulgent debate performance. Even not preparing. And it's fantastic that at least we know he was telling the truth when he said he wasn't preparing. Okay, we know he's an honest man. Even with that, he won all the online polls. And I don't care if the New York Times rushes out to tell us, they don't count. You can only vote one time. Now, maybe, to some extent it measures enthusiasm. But on every website, on Time Magazine, on Slate, which is a liberal website, he won all the online polls. And I looked at that the night of the debate and I thought, this is how people register the fact that they're voting for Trump without telling a pollster they're voting for Trump. I think in a way this tells us something the polls don't tell us because they've just spent 14 months, and especially recently, just denouncing him. You will not hear from him. They will not show his speeches. They will not even put on, other than John Phillips, and I guess Kayleigh McEnerney, they will not put on a halfway articulate person who supports Donald Trump on television. You simply cannot hear from those people. So in an environment where the media is hysterically calling Trump Hitler, well, I think there are two conclusions from that. One is they were all whining before the debate. Oh, his expectations are so low. Yeah, you bet they are. All he has to do is not be Hitler. And who lowered the expectations? Oh, I believe that's you, media. Point two is I think in some of these polls, And look, maybe I'm whistling past the graveyard, but I do think if there's ever an opportunity for a Bradley effect where people don't want to tell pollsters who they're voting for, it's in an environment where for more than a year we've been told this guy is Hitler. And especially because I think Trump is appealing to a lot of constituencies who aren't Republicans, people who are registered Democrats, a lot of Hispanics, a lot of African Americans. In that environment, I mean, it's enough for someone who's been a Republican all his life to tell a pollster, yes, I'm voting for Hitler. For someone who is a Democrat, through and through. And I don't care what Trump is. He could call himself anything. And I love that Republicans keep attacking him and saying he's not a real Republican. That helps him appeal to lifelong Democrats and especially African Americans. I keep making the pitch to them. I know you don't like Republicans, but remember what the rest of my party keeps telling you. He's not a real Republican. Just forget that R after his name. So I think that the online polls about a totally selfish, self-indulgent, and lazy debate performance claiming that he won, that's people saying, I'm going to vote for this guy. And he didn't come out on stage, take a dump, and leave. That's good enough for me.
I mean, Clinton definitely outperformed him. I don't think she got the knockout, though, that she was looking for. And I think once we look at some of these other tracking polls, I don't think she gets maybe a 1 or 2 point bump from this.
Maybe not
I don't
even
really
that.
See any
because he
growth
wins
in her
on
numbers.
issues. And I do think he won at the beginning of the debate because we were talking about an issue.
He did a great job addressing issues, and then it kind of fell off the cliff a little bit.
Oh, no, he took the bait, and I love this. It tells you all about our media and the Democrats, that their definition of, quote, taking the bait is, we got him to stop talking about issues that matter to the American people. We lured him into talking about himself. On his issues, he wins. He's got to keep that in his head. Whenever he talks about his issues, he wins. When he talks about himself, he loses. Their method, and I think she may not even get a 1 point bump because again, going to the online polls that claimed he won, were we all watching the same debate? I mean, again, I think he did win at the beginning, whenever it was on issues. But you get the impression that voters, we've made our decision. We don't want her. We want him. It's like we're a hiring committee and we've all decided there are 2 applicants, A and B, and we all want applicant A, but, there's this one last thing we need. He's going to have to show us his driver's license. And he showed up at the debate, showed his driver's license, again, by not doing something completely insane. And she's like desperately working the admissions committee, the hiring committee, saying, but I've taken driver's ed 16 times, and I've explained the vehicular homicide, and the GPS was hacked by the Russians, and the hiring committee isn't even listening. No, we've already decided we want Trump. Now we just need to see this one last thing. Just show us your driver's license and you're in.
And debates aren't scored on points like a boxing match. Everyone has different objectives when you go into one of these debates. Trump's objectives, as you mentioned, were to go in there and not be Hitler and try to win back some of these Republicans that voted for Romney that
but the media
have reservations
created it.
for
It's
him.
their fault.
On Hillary's side, what she had to do, because they have different math now. When Bill Clinton was the nominee, he ran as a new Democrat. He tried to win the middle. He won in places like Kentucky and Louisiana and Florida. With Obama, they changed how they approach presidential elections. They just talked to one sliver of the country. They talked to young people, liberals, and minorities, and they spiked turnout by saying, oh, it's the first black president. Oh, it's the first woman president. And she had to go in there and she had to give those voters a reason to be excited about her candidacy. And I don't think she did it. And a lot of people have gotten caught up. Oh, I think so, too. A lot of people got caught up in the whole Colin Kaepernick thing that he kneels when the national anthem is playing. But they lost themselves on the fact that he also said, and I have no love for Hillary Clinton because of the super predator remark. And if I did what she did with the emails, I'd be in jail. If she can't get that person with that profile excited about her candidacy against Donald Trump, she's in big trouble.
Right. I mean, the whole thing with Obama was it was like a mark of being cool. It's like you're listening to the cool, hip, new group out there. It was a cool thing. And I will say, I'm glad we don't have to run against Obama again, other than his policies. He's elegant. He looks good in a suit. He's charming. He's funny. whoa, Hillary is none of those things. None of those things. There's nothing. I mean, all the stupid young people acted like, voting for Obama made them, the equivalent of a civil rights marcher. It was a cool thing to support Obama. There is nothing cool about voting for that dreary old lady.
Well, actually, I do have a question for you, Ann, and I wanted to get this on the table for you bring it up because you might have heard a huge thud last night, and that was my head hitting the wall when Gary Johnson blanked on naming a foreign leader he could admire. But don't you think Donald Trump would want him to do well? Because I feel like he pulls votes away from Clinton. Should we be kind of cheering him on a little bit?
Let's listen to the sound.
Yeah.
This is Gary Johnson on
this is
NBC
fantastic.
News.
Your favorite foreign leader?
Who's my favorite?
Just name anywhere in the country, any one of the continents, any country. Name one foreign leader that you respect.
You'll
Look
brother
up
on
to.
the King and I.
Anybody.
Mine was Shimon Peres.
No, okay, I'm talking about living. Go ahead. You got to do this.
That was
Anywhere,
Wells.
any continent. Canada, Mexico, Europe, over there, Asia, South America, Africa. Name a foreign leader that you respect.
I guess I'm having an Aleppo moment in the former president
But I'm
of
giving
Mexico.
you the whole world.
I know.
Anybody in the world you like. Anybody. Pick any leader.
The former president of Mexico.
Which one?
I'm having a brain.
Name anybody.
Fox.
Okay, who's your favorite foreign leader? Get him off the hook. Name a foreign leader you respect.
He was terrific.
Any foreign leader.
Merkel.
Okay, Merkel. Okay, fine. Save yourself. Can't argue with that.
They should have just asked him what marijuana strain he preferred.
I definitely think the cause of marijuana legalization has been set back by about 20 years with
But
Gary.
after that, he
Johnson.
did have a very coherent discussion about his foreign policy, which
No one saw it, Alexa.
no one saw, of course. My heart died a little bit. But I feel he pulls more from Clinton. So in my mind, I would think Trump supporters would want him to do a little bit better.
I think he's going to
spoil that.
get very little of the vote, one way or another. I mean, I thought that from the beginning.
I disagree. I'll tell you why. I think he serves two purposes right now in this election. He serves essentially as the none of the above box. So if you're upset with both people, but you go out and vote because it's your civic duty, you're going to vote for Gary Johnson. And libertarians used to always scream about getting rid of the Department of Education and Health and Human Services and
Right.
Veterans Affairs. And now all they talk about is marijuana.
Yep.
So if you're a single issue voter and marijuana is your issue, it tends to skew younger, tends to skew more liberal, tends to skew Western, then you're going to vote for Gary Johnson. He's polling in double digits in Colorado. Trump was ahead of Hillary Clinton in Colorado in part because Gary Johnson is pulling so many votes from Hillary. I think he's great.
Well, I also think he pulls minority votes with his criminal justice reform.
Oh yeah,
platform,
because he can
but-
go farther
I'm
than
sorry.
she can.
I'll bet
unconvinced.
you both. It will be negligible, the votes that Gary Johnson takes. Yeah, okay, you have potheads. Are they really going to get up and stand in line to vote for someone who maybe if there's something else on the ballot like pot legalization, the only thing they care
free
about,
pizza at the voting.
or if there's free pizza, exactly.
But Trump is doing well in states that he has no business doing well
I
in.
think he does have business doing well in. I was telling you on the drive over here. They did a half an hour on MSNBC with Steve Karnacki, who usually has a pretty good analysis. So they're all getting a little crazy these days about, whoa, this weird mystery. None of us saw this coming. Trump's getting 30% of the Hispanic vote in Nevada. And they send in one of their correspondents to sit on a Spanish language radio station in Nevada and take calls and ask the people listening to the station to explain why they're all for Trump. And they called in and said, well, I run a small business and he's totally going to help us. And somebody else calls in and says, the competition is really tough. Yeah, I mean, some of these people I know, I'm friends with them. They've grown up here. I wouldn't like to see them deported, but if that's what we have to do to bring the jobs back, oh, well. He's getting 30%. The reason people are surprised is because they won't put people on TV who are not surprised. I'm frantically waving my hand here, at the TV screen. Check with Ann. No, I do think Trump is going to do better. I mean, I've said this on your show before, but it's the perfect example of what exactly what I'm talking about, what I think the mentality is. I spent Christmas in Palm Beach, and when I was there over this past Christmas, after Trump just ran away with the polls, I'm going to Christmas parties with the plutocrats, and one very famous plutocrat, I'll tell you the name of on the commercial break. Just every Christmas party you went to, you'd run into him, and they were all shell shocked. They didn't know what was going on.
They were all Jeb people, right?
He said, "I don't understand it. We were all for Jeb, but all the Hispanic help is for Trump." And I think that's true. They want jobs. They want their wages to go up.
Our guest is Ann Coulter. The book is In Trump We Trust. E Pluribus Awesome, available online right now at Amazon.com. If you want to join in on the conversation, the number is 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. When we return, we'll get into the whole Miss Universe controversy.
Excellent.
Or I guess I should say a little Miss Piggy controversy. John Phillips, Alexis Garcia in for Jillian, 790 KABC. It's John Phillips and Alexis Garcia in for Jillian, joined in studio by Ann Coulter, author of E Pluribus Awesome, In Trump We Trust. I guess I flipped it there, didn't I?
Yes, you did. It's In Trump We Trust.
E Pluribus Awesome.
Jeez, John.
Yes.
There we go.
And by the way, it's not, it was the number 3 most purchased hardcover in the country the week it came out, number 5 the next week. So it's selling just fine, but people shouldn't think this is just some stupid campaign book, like it's written by a campaign consultant. There's a lot of great new information. You should know what my books are like. They're fantastic.
I can agree.
Yeah, there's a
I
lot
always
of new
read your books on
information.
planes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So people see you reading them?
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny, isn't it? And you got lots of new, interesting information.
That's right. And they're not terribly, I mean, it's not like 600 pages where, you
Right,
can't
this is
finish
a
it.
shorter one, yeah.
Yeah, so if you go to the East Coast and back, you can finish the book.
Yeah, it's fun, and you can read it on the beach. Oh, I guess it's not really beach weather anymore.
No, not right now. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the whole Miss Universe controversy.
Excellent.
Because I think the Trump campaign is misplaying this. They're saying now there was a memo that was leaked where the campaign is saying in response they want their surrogates to say that Jennifer Flowers and Paula Jones and Juanita Broderick were mistreated by the Clintons, so everyone mistreats women. It's no big deal. That's a huge mistake.
Yep.
This woman is a criminal. This woman went on CNN's Anderson
nuts.
Cooper. She's completely bat bleep crazy. She went on CNN and she essentially admitted to driving the getaway car to an attempted assassination.
Right.
She admitted to essentially threatening to kill a judge that she didn't like.
By the way, she makes Sofia Vergara sound like the Queen of England because I can barely understand anything she says.
No,
when
she
talks.
doesn't speak English, so our immigration policies are working fantastically well. What is she going to do in this country now? She's not going to model or be an actress. How
Maybe
does
for
she
Lane
become
Bryant.
a citizen? She doesn't speak English. She's credibly accused, and it's not just that she almost admitted to it. I mean, on being the getaway car driver, there are a lot of witnesses who said she was the getaway car driver, and you have to understand, beauty contests are huge in Venezuela. She is a national celebrity in Venezuela. She was when this happened. Lots of people said, I saw her driving the car. She gave 2 different excuses about where she was. It was her boyfriend who was trying an attempted murder at a woman's funeral. He was and she drove the getaway car. She had 2 different excuses for where she was. She said she was sick, and her lawyer said she was out of the country. So, raising some credibility issues. But also, it's like, when people see her, you could say, well, how do you know it was her? Do you know her personally? Well, no, but it's like identifying Kim Kardashian in this country. Everyone knows what she looks like. She's not going to be able to sneak under.
A saint girl?
What was that?
She said, I'm not a saint girl.
I'm not a saint girl. Oh, yes, that was her defense. I mean, this brings up our immigration policies. How is it that she becomes a citizen? They're not even looking for prior crimes. Oh, yeah, and she had an anchor baby in Miami, and the father is listed on the birth certificate, and according to Mexican newspapers, is this huge drug lord. The State Department wait, who was the head of the State Department again? I'm thinking, oh, that's right, Hillary Clinton. They had a $2 million bounty on her baby daddy's head. He's a huge drug dealer. How does she become a citizen? And point B, miscompetence, Hillary Clinton. They didn't even go to her Wikipedia page before this big rollout?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask both of you, because I've heard that criticism of why did Hillary even trot this woman out there But your colleague, Ana Navarro, has been saying that this is all they're talking about on Spanish language media. Do you think that it was strategy for Hillary? Basically, nobody's talking about her. Everyone's talking about this woman and Donald Trump. I mean, do you think that's part of the strategy?
I think they didn't look. I think they did not do any background search. They've gotten Democrats, and Hillary in particular, have gotten so lazy knowing that the media is part of their campaign, that they can do anything. I mean, if Trump had put out a name like this as a big Trump supporter, and it turned out that the person had been credibly accused. Oh, and as for threatening a judge's life, that isn't idle rumor. The judge went on national TV in Venezuela and said she threatened to kill me. This was on TV. It's been reported by Univision, and by the way, her Wikipedia page has been wiped clean since the story broke yesterday. But you can see on my Twitter page, on Mickey Kaus's Twitter page, you still have the AP articles, you still have the Univision articles. It's all out there. I think they're just lazy because they're used, and the media isn't talking about it. I mean, I was watching what was it, Brian Williams last night, and they're all they say about this woman rolled out, and I don't think Trump is on tape saying the Miss Piggy thing. If you see what he actually said, he was incredibly nice to her. If you go back and read the news at the time, which I did, all her sponsors were dumping her. She won the Miss Universe contest weighing 118 pounds. She gained 60 pounds, 60, not 16, 60 pounds. Kellogg's pulls out. Kellogg's at the time was being run by a Hillary supporter, by the way. They withdraw the sponsorships. All the news was, is she going to lose her crown? And Trump, because he's a gentleman, said no.
Let's not go that far.
I'll turn lemons into lemonade. And he invites her in. And that press conference, which I tweeted out, it's very short. I really recommend you go look at it. He's incredibly nice to her. She's smiling and giggling and giving the thumbs up. He says, look, she's been under a tremendous amount of pressure. She has to travel around the country. She has to travel around the world being Miss Universe. When some people, when they're under stress, like me, they eat a lot. Like Miss Universe, eat a lot. Some people eat nothing. He makes fun of some of the reporters and says, they're standing at the gym. He says, some of you could stand to take a few pounds off. And that's when Miss Venezuela applauds, gives the thumbs up. He talks about her being the most beautiful. When she won the contest, the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. He's an incredible gentleman. And just for my final point, I love this idea that the winner of a beauty contest turns around and says, I'm being evaluated for my looks. Come on, baby case. You didn't just win, the Fields Medal in mathematics. You won what is known as a beauty contest.
Why isn't Trump out there making these points? Because whenever he's interviewed about it, he just doubles down on the fact that she was fat and doesn't reference any of this stuff, which I think flips the story around, because this is damaging for Hillary. It's damaging for Hillary because
it's about immigration.
It validates every suspicion that people have about her, that she doesn't vet, that she's willing to give American citizenship to anyone, that people who are willing to break the law as long as it breaks to her advantage is perfectly fine with her. This highlights every single one of her vulnerabilities. This is the only thing that he should be talking about.
I agree. And how it relates to our immigration policy and the Democrats just wanting to bring people in who will vote for them. And it doesn't matter if this woman has nil employment prospects in this country, which she does not. What do they think she's going to do? What job does she have?
I told you, she's going to be a model for Lane Bryant.
Well, yeah, because I know a lot of your callers yesterday were, and I kind of tend to agree, by talking about this, we're missing other important issues
I
that
agree.
we could be hammering Hillary on, like her emails, like the fact that she's misled about so many different issues. What is the benefit of talking about this, or should we move on and just say, let this woman just go sit on her couch?
The way John talked about it is the right way. As I say in my column this week, Trump wins when he talks about issues. They win when they get him off talking about his issues, which is why he was winning the debate. When he was talking about trade and catching Hillary lying through her teeth, she called the Trans-Pacific Partnership the gold standard of trade deals. Well, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, obviously that's a big deal for Sanders voters. It's a big deal for me. It's a big deal for Trump voters. voters. It will take, and he totally nailed her on NAFTA. TPP will take any jobs that haven't been sent to Mexico and send them to Asia. It's a huge, important issue. He was nailing her on it. I think he was nailing her when he talked about bringing safety and order back to the inner city, engaging in infrastructure projects, rebuilding the inner city, how she has done nothing for African Americans, nothing at all. She asks for the vote and then walks away. And her answer to, does she think policemen have implicit bias? I love that. It's such a Ta-Nehisi Coates word, implicit bias. Oh, great. We have an assistant sociology professor running for president. Her answer to that is, no, it's not just cops that are racist. All Americans are racist. Fantastic. That's great. So I like the way Phillips says Trump should talk about it, which is to talk about what this says about our immigration policy. As long as he's talking about Muslims running around shooting up shopping malls. Oh, and that Muslim who shot up the shopping mall last week, turns out he had voted not once, 3 times, not a citizen, Muslim immigrant, not yet a citizen, voted 3 times. You have the Chelsea bombing. You have, of course, Orlando, San Bernardino. Can we talk about something that matters to the American people? Because Trump is going to be dead and buried in 20 or 30 years. I don't care what his position on the Iraq war was. I don't think voters care. I don't care what his taxes are. What we care about are the issues. He is crushing them. And I mean both political parties. This is the people against the elites, and the elites do not want Trump talking about policy. They baited him by getting him not to talk about his issues. If he uses Miss Universe, Miss Venezuela to talk about our insane immigration policy, that is a total win for him.
And it's also funny, too, that whenever some Trump supporter goes out and says something stupid, the media acts like they're the minister of information. Right. This woman is a Trump, or not a Trump, but a Clinton a surrogate. She's out there.
Right.
She's been put out by the campaign, featured in ads, and she drove the getaway car for an attempted assassination, and
at a funeral,
threatened to assassinate a judge, and they get no blowback. Sometimes they'll do the story and not even mention that aspect of it.
That's right.
That was 20 years ago.
Yeah, right.
That was
Get
a
with the program.
long time ago.
But that is not a point now.
There you go.
Yeah, unlike when he helped her lose weight and didn't take her crown away, which was also 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you think the story has legs? Do you think it's going to continue?
Because it's hilarious. It's tabloidy. And true, they are not covering it on CNN, MSNBC. I don't even know about Fox. But wow, it is burning up the internet.
Yeah, every time I look online, there's something new about this woman.
Yeah.
How could they not have figured this out? They've
All
got
they
a
had to
huge
do was search
campaign.
the
They had to
Wikipedia
have
page.
not. I mean, they must have just taken a calculated risk with that.
I don't think so. I don't think they checked.
It just boggles my mind. 'Cause
you know what?
They have people that are paid to do research, and how do you miss
I know,
this?
but they're reporters at the Washington Post, and they may not have been given a heads up, although Cosmo was given a heads up, and The Guardian. I mean, this was a big rollout. They had taken photos of this woman for The Guardian and for Cosmopolitan Magazine 2 weeks earlier, before Hillary throws it in at the debate. This was a big rollout. It's kind of amazing that they didn't know.
And this was the best poster child for this issue. I mean, they could have found probably somebody else.
She hit all of the, I mean, it's a woman, it's an Hispanic, and there was fat shaming, which appeals to the millennials. But I don't know, Alexis, you could be right, which is even more horrifying, that they did know and they thought it doesn't matter, the media will cover for us, because it is certainly true that the media is doing everything possible to cover for them.
And you know what? They fat shamed him too when his weight came out, when he released his physical.
Right.
All I heard on TV for 2 nights was that he was obese. And by the way, we still don't know what Hillary's weight is, and if he's obese, so is she. There's no question in my mind, because she's not that tall, and she's got to weigh $160, $170 at least.
You're right. Why don't we get the female candidate's weight?
When you're talking about boxers, you get the weight of both of them. We only have Trump's weight. We don't have her weight.
That's right.
I don't think we want her weight. I'm okay with not knowing that.
But they went after him. It was 2 straight days of fat jokes, and then they put those statues up of his naked body in
naked
cities all over the country, and it was kind of like an end-of-the-hour kicker story on every newscast.
It really, they need to make it all about him and not let him talk about immigration, Obamacare, Muslim immigration in particular, trade deals, rebuilding infrastructure. I mean, his policies, it is his issues. That's why he's winning. His personality, I mean, as I say in the book, I haven't heard anyone say, I don't really care about Trump on the issues. I just like his personality. No one is voting for him because we looked around the country and let's make it a reality TV star. No, it's his issues, which neither the Republican Party nor the Democratic Party would talk about. He comes along and says, no, screw it. I'm going to take the most popular side of every issue. And the RNC goes crazy. I mean, the RNC for decades have been sending out their candidates like, okay, you're going to go out on the debate stage. We have these ankle weights you need to wear. You're going to be, in favor of cutting Social Security. And here we're going to give you a backpack with 50 pounds in it. You're going to defend the Iraq War. And, we're also going to give you blinders. Trump said, I'm not taking any of that. I'm just going to take popular positions. So, of course, he wins when he talks about issues. And how do they distract him? By talking about his weight, by talking about what he said in 2003, by talking about what he said when he was an entertainer.
But he totally took the bait on that, and I thought missed so many opportunities to throw it right back in Hillary's face.
Yep.
What are you hoping he does for this next debate?
Oh, spend 20 seconds practicing. I recommended in my column this week because, I remember this. I was thinking of writing this. Politico's been trying to get me to write an article, and I don't like their version of it because it sounds arrogant, how I was Donald Trump before he was Donald Trump. And that's not quite right, but I was thinking this is a way I could do it because I remember when I first started doing TV, and this has probably happened to you too, John. I started in the Clinton era, and, over my book, my smash New York Times bestseller, the first of 12, High Crimes and Misdemeanors, I'd walk off Rivera Live thinking, crap, they tricked me into talking about Nixon the whole time because they would go on TV, the Lanny Davises and the rest of them back then, and they would say something that was just an outright lie about Richard Nixon, about what he had done compared to, what Clinton had done. And it's very hard to resist correcting an egregious lie. It's like going into the doctor and they hit your knee with that little rubber mallet. You just can't help it. When someone tells a lie, you respond. But very early on, I realized I kept walking off the set thinking, damn them, they tricked me into not talking about Clinton. I ended up, we're arguing about Nixon the whole time. And so I had to just resist and stop responding when they would tell open, egregious lies. And I know they were doing it on purpose. If I tell a crazy lie about Nixon, she won't be able to help herself. No, you have to learn to help yourself. And so my recommendation, not with this background, but with the or explanation in my column this week is every single person who works for Trump should, every time they see him from now until the next debate, insult him. Just say your business is worth nothing. You lied about the Iraq War. Your hair looks awful, you're overweight, and you're worth nothing. You're a fraud. Just every time they see him, and if he starts to respond, say, no, sir, please tell us how you're going to keep drugs from coming across the border. No, sir, please remind us about Katie Steinle. No, sir, no one cares. Stop responding to this stuff.
He has horrible impulse control.
Well, the other thing he can do, he can practice doing this, which is make it a two-step thing. One sentence in response. With the birther thing, I guess it's a good thing to get out there, but I don't think we needed 60 minutes of a 90-minute debate on it when we're not talking about healthcare, immigration, Muslim jihadists, Hillary's emails. But he can do it in a two-step process. You're full of crap, point one. Point two, now let's talk about something that matters to the American people. So for the birther thing, he can say, she started it, I ended it. Now let's talk about immigration. But get it out in one sentence. Do not go on for 20 minutes about how you had this conversation with Hannity. Well, he's got to be forced to learn how to do it.
Do you think it's a little late in the game, though, now to retrain his thinking?
No, he's smart. He's shrewd. I will say this about him, criticizing, in part, his debate performance. I'll criticize him when I think he's done something wrong. I will say I do think he's very smart, and he's a quick learner. He has made billions of dollars, and people who've been in negotiations with him do say he's very smart. He did get better during the Republican primary debates. I think he knows. You could tell from his face when it was over. I think he knows he did not do well at that debate. And it's not that hard what he has to learn how to do. He could just be given flashcards. Whenever you hear something about cybersecurity, do not wander off and start talking about your 10-year-old son and how good he is at email. Cybersecurity, you talk about how Hillary put top secret documents in a toilet in Denver. That should be just set it off. Anything about computers, cybersecurity, you go straight to how she handled classified documents. You hear somebody says what you said about women, you go straight to how she defended the rapist of a 12-year-old girl and laughed about it. I also think you just remind me all this stuff about, and it is leaking all over if you've been watching TV today. They're all saying, we're telling surrogates. It's leaked. I'm always suspicious of leaks that we all know about. It's leaked that he's going to talk about, Juanita Roderick is a good one. That's a rape. But Monica Lewinsky or Jennifer Flowers, I hope that this is a head fake, and he is not going to bring that up.
Me too.
That
would
is
not be
good.
productive.
Juanita Broderick is good. The rape of a 12-year-old girl is good. The Hillary portraying Monica as a stalker is good. Kathleen Willey isn't bad.
The affairs does not help.
The consensual affairs, I agree, do not help. The rape of Juanita Broderick, that helps. The Hillary defending the rapist of a 12-year-old girl, violent rape, left her infertile, and she is on the phone laughing about her getting this guy off with time served. Bring that up.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Our guest is Ann Coulter. If you want to weigh in on the conversation, 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's The Drive Home. John Phillips, Alexis Garcia in for Jillian, Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's 3:51, Talk Radio 790 KABC. John Phillips, Alexis Garcia in for Jillian, joined in studio by Ann Coulter. Let's go to David in Westwood. David, you're on KABC. Hello.
And why did you go on that roast with Rob Lowe? You knew that that's what they were going to say to you, and their humor was not funny; it was just cuss words.
Everyone kept telling me before I was going on, Ann, they're going to be mean to you, and I'd say to my friends, have you seen my entire career? I've pretty much never walked into a TV studio, a debate, or anything else without me being Emmanuel Goldstein, and I've done quite well with that career. So yeah, I got an enormous amount of press. They advertised me. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was great. I should have been on the marquee, but as it was, I think wasn't that like week 2 of my book tour? Yeah, and they did massive advertising a week before it came out. I had the number 3 book of all hardcovers in the entire country the first week it came out, according to BookScan. Number 5 book in the hardcover in the entire country week 2. And also, I would say, is this David, did you say?
Yes, David from
I would
Westwood.
also say, David, that after listening to myself called the C word apparently 19 times, someone counted it up, although it was an edited broadcast, it was probably twice that. I can say anything. If I don't have thin skin and I'm not a precious little snowflake, then these liberals can stop weeping and crying when I say retard or illegal alien.
800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. More of your calls coming up on The Drive Home, Talk Radio 790 KABC. And we continue in the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Studios, 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. John Phillips, Alexis Garcia in for Jillian. Ann Coulter joins us in studio. Let's go ahead and go to Edward in Torrance. Edward, you're on KABC. Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
Hi, I just wanted to say, I don't understand how everybody's behind these 2 candidates when both of them, I honestly think are not even qualified. I mean, one pretty much, had the incident in Benghazi. The other one is very repetitive about what he says, has a temperament that he can't control. And, I understand that he has created jobs in the past here in America, but at the same time, I've seen video articles or whatever about him not properly paying these companies that have done very good job for him or whatever the case might be. But honestly, I wish there was a box on the day that I vote. I wish there was a box where I can pretty much say, or I'm not voting for any of these candidates, because it's just none of these are qualified. I've served
Can
my
I take
country.
this, Edward?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
First of all, I know you're not on TV, so I'm not complaining about you. But just so you know, because I've been hearing this a lot on TV, they're the most disliked candidates ever. I swear to you, I've been paying attention to politics for a long time. They say this every 4 years. And then point two, I just want to persuade you that you should be voting for Trump. I mean, it's more just than Benghazi. Hillary's one accomplishment, her baby at Secretary of State, was Libya, was overturning Gaddafi, who at that point was George Bush's bitch. He had paid he had done bad things in the past, but he was terrified after the Iraq War. He was totally a force for good at that point. I mean, we did ally with Stalin, and it was her idea, and we know she had to talk Obama into taking out Gaddafi in Libya. It is because Gaddafi is gone that led to the refugee crisis pouring into Europe right now. So the one thing she did as Secretary of State, and then of course led to Benghazi, where our ambassador was murdered. So the one thing she's responsible for, there are even emails from Sidney Blumenthal to Hillary saying, now make sure you get credit for taking out Muammar Gaddafi. She's on tape laughing about taking out Gaddafi, saying, we came, we saw, he died. And then contrast with, people that Trump has fired. Look, any successful businessman, they had this with Romney too. They'd have it with Bill Gates. Anyone who has been successful is going to have some people who were fired. Donald Trump has created or been a part of the creation of 500 businesses. Less than a dozen went bankrupt. Hillary has been responsible for the creation of one business, Whitewater. It went bankrupt. It ripped people off. So much worse than Trump University. Trump has employed thousands upon thousands of people. I spend a lot of time in New York and Palm Beach, and his employees love him.
All right, 2 more hours coming up. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. This is The Drive Home, Talk Radio 790 KABC. And we continue at 407 in the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Studios. John Phillips, Alexis Garcia in for Jillian, and Coulter joins us, author of In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome, available online at Amazon.com. Coming up later on in the hour, Nina Hartley joins us. She is a porn star who's going to weigh in on Prop 60, which is going to make the Cowboys ride in a saddle.
Oh, that's a bummer.
You should have her weigh in on Miss Venezuela. Make the piggy noise now, please, Alexis.
Oh, no, here we go.
Who was also apparently a big porn star in Venezuela.
That's why Barberie left her, right?
Well, she had sex on
camera.
Their national television, yeah.
While engaged.
Uh-oh.
She sounds like a lovely woman.
Also, Vegas. Uh-oh, there we go. Well, that also is applicable to Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas is changing their alcohol policy, so no more free booze in the casino unless you're gambling big bucks. We'll talk to Doug Elfman of the Las Vegas Review-Journal all about that. Now, Ann, you were part of a big piece in today's New York Times today about so many people in the Republican media or conservative media that are anti-Trump. They talked about Eric Erickson over at Red State and Mark Levin before he finally relented and said that he's going to vote for Trump. And you gave your theory as to why so many of these guys and gals on the right. George Will was another guy they spent a lot of ink talking about how he's viciously he's actually pro-Hillary at this point.
Right.
And changed his party registration.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many people on the right hate Trump so much?
It's all described in Trump We Trust. They're all in Washington. I mean, it's like there's something in the water there. But as I describe in Chapter 3, it is these consultants, the pollsters, I hate the phrase Washington establishment. We'll call them the Republican Brain Trust, only because Washington establishment has been misused, but they're in it for themselves. I think this happened, unfortunately, it was an inadvertent effect of the Ronald Reagan presidency. It used to be that the permanent bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. was all liberal Democrat. Democrats would come and stay. They were all part of the bureaucracy. What was great about Reagan, I was a kid then, And young people loved Reagan. It was a weird thing in the polls. He was doing very well with young people. And all these young people came in and they staffed up Heritage Foundation and the Washington Times and AEI and all of these think tanks and groups. And they worked for Reagan and they worked for Bush. And then they stayed in Washington. And it was supposed to be a good thing that you'd have like this brain trust waiting for you when after 8 years a Republican came back into office. But it turns out, no, it's as bad as with the Democrats. They care about the organization. They have their offices, their parking spaces. They have the good respect of Jonathan Alter and other people who live in Washington. We want to blow the whole system up. And you will notice all of these people and an awful lot of the ones we see on TV, they are all, if they are not literally physically in Washington, they basically are in Washington. They are of Washington. They are part of organizations that are based in Washington. Because when Trump first announced, we were talking about this in the car today, I live mostly in New York and LA, a lot of friends in both places. I would say the day of Trump's announcement speech, and they were divided. We're always arguing during other Republican primaries. The day of Trump's announcement, 90% in New York and in LA were 100% fanatically for Trump. That had not been true in the past. And also, I just add, I mean, like Trump, I love the uneducated. But it happens that most of my friends do not fit into that category. They are heavily doctors, investment bankers, lawyers in New York, in L.A., very successful, big Hollywood producers, writers, that sort of thing, who shall all go unnamed or their careers would be destroyed. All for Trump, or 90% for Trump in both cities. In Washington, D.C., where I don't know as many people, but say, 20, 30 people, it was exactly the reverse. Exactly the reverse. They were all anti-Trump in Washington. And why? Because he didn't use them. He doesn't need consultants, think tanks, pollsters. He didn't even have a speechwriter. I mean, it was him, Corey Lewandowski, and Hope Hicks. And that was it. That was how he won more votes than any Republican in history. So they have got to take him down to preserve their own careers. It's, as I say in my book, it's their careers or the country, and the choice is not difficult for them. Their motto is, I regret that I have but one country to give for my TV gig.
Well, I get that about the people that are consultants and that work for the organization. But why does George Will do it?
He's still part of Washington. He's part of that. The only one, as I said in the New York Times article today, one of the quotes that he did get right, but it was way more than Eric Erickson. There's so many wonderful things Trump has done for my life. I was just describing how he may have saved my life since I wasn't in France, and I love Eagles of Death Metal. I totally would have been at that concert. I totally would have been out of the country because I couldn't have supported any of these other Republicans running. The other great thing he did for my life is there were always all these Republicans who were technically on our side, and I really, really didn't like them. Just took an instant dislike to them, but I had to be talked into liking them, and they're on our side. Michael Gerson, Eric Erickson, that General Michael Hayden. Oh, what a little twit he is. Who else? Well, I didn't know Rick Wilson in order to dislike him. I didn't know Charlie Sykes in order to dislike him. But all the people that I had to be talked into liking before because they're technically on my side, whoa, they're all gone now. I don't have to pretend I like them anymore. It was all the ones I hated. Gone, gone, gone. John Podhoretz.
And they all got behind Cruz.
Or whomever. They just are
Cruz
anti-Trumpers.
at the end was their guy.
But I don't have to defend the people who were the most embarrassing to our side.
It's liberating.
It's totally liberating. It's fantastic.
And Mark Levin fits that bill, although he's now kind of around on Trump.
Look, I understand.
Half-heartedly.
This debate the other night did remind me why I know you never did. I at least had a fondness for Ted Cruz. I mean, I think he's the first Republican basically in our lifetimes who could put a sentence together. What is it with Trump and his sentence fragments? He's got to stop doing that. And he just throws out words that if you've been watching every one of his speeches, you know what he's talking about. But if you have not been watching every one of his speeches.
When you hear Bigley.
Right, when you hear my son in his email. Wait, what? Where did that come from?
800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's take a phone call. Let's go to Doug in Santa Monica. Doug, you're on KABC. Hello.
Hey, thanks. And listen, I've asked I don't know, 50, 60 people over the last probably year or so. Tell me 3 things that Hillary has done that has been good while she's been in public service for a great many of Americans. And I tell you, I don't even get one. And I'm talking whether I'm writing to them or you're emailing or if it's in a conversation. It is literally stopped short. But the other comment that I want to make that sort of dovetails what she is successful at and what she trained for and prepared for in this debate was to get underneath his skin and prove that he has no way in which to deflect. He's pathologically incapable of not responding to insults. She's a pathological liar. He's pathologically incapable of not responding to insults. And she proved it and showed him in that game at least 2 or 3 times. And so she's sitting there twisting her metaphorical mustache in joy as like she's P.T. Barnum and released this great King Kong on Donald Trump. And now he's focused all over himself.
Well, for one thing, the way your question came up on the screen, Doug, I was sort of sorry to see that you corrected it, so it was a brilliant point. It just said 3 things that Hillary has done. You threw in, when you actually said it out loud, good things, because I have a lot of things she did, like overturn Gaddafi in Libya, like the famous reset
reform,
button. Right, healthcare reform. Oh, I can come up with lots of things she's done. Every single thing she's touched is a disaster. And if I could defend Trump briefly, some things were worth him defending. I think he went on a little too long and he should have brought it back. But he has been under relentless attack. I mean, look, he was against the war in Iraq. It's frustrating to have people lie about it. I don't think it matters. But that thing, if I see one more time, I'm watching TV and MSNBC will have, and here we have it, the proof that Trump supported the war in Iraq. We'll come back to it after the commercial. We have it now. And I keep waiting. Oh, they finally have the proof that he supported the Iraq war. And it's the same old thing as that Howard Stern tape. Well, listen to the tape. He says, when Stern says, and if you guys could run that up so you could actually play what he says and not look at the words. There's never a more perfect example of where your words say one thing and your tone says something else. Stern says, do you support the war in Iraq? And Trump says, I guess so. That's not...
I wish we would have handled it the right way the first time, was the second line.
Right. And Cavuto, he kept going back to the economy. I mean, yes, you're right, Doug. Who cares? And the birther thing, oh, by the way, speaking of the importance of the birther thing, I think that went on a little too long.
But that was an opportunity for him to be like, Hillary, you started it.
He did, and that's what I was going to say. I noticed that in all of these phony media fact checks, that's one thing they haven't tried to fact check Trump on. Trump said she started it. He said it in that incoherent, non-Cruisian way of just saying Sidney Blumenthal 17 times. But still, he got it out there. How come that hasn't been fact checked? I haven't seen anybody say, hey, Trump said Hillary started it. Fact check? Well, they can't because she did.
And that was verified by an editor at McClatchy.
And by a former campaign head, and I know
Iowa, yeah.
And
they also mentioned it in the Frontline documentary this week, The Choice, that compared the two of them, and it was great because I thought it was
the truth.
Very fair assessment of her personality and showing that she will do whatever she thinks is necessary to win, which is
and he did get out that she was the one who put out that photo of him in the Muslim garb.
No,
yeah, that came out too.
That was good.
Now, I talked to a friend of mine who's a longtime Republican, a Kasich supporter in the primary, who came around and supported Trump begrudgingly, but supported Trump and now supports Trump and is going to go out and vote, and not one of these Republicans that bad talks them all the time. And she said, here's the essential difference in her mind between Trump and Hillary. She said, Trump lies because he doesn't know anything. Hillary lies because she knows the truth is bad and she purposely has to mislead you. She lies purposely.
Oh, definitely. And that was another thing, I think, at least on the Hillary part, that Trump totally nailed her on when she had the audacity to say that her private server, that was a mistake. A mistake? No, that took forethought, planning, bleach bit, phone calls late at night when the subpoena comes in. You got to destroy these emails, the server off in Denver. No, that is not a mistake. But as for her description of Trump, the way, I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, he is, and I don't think that's right. I think what Trump is, is a BSer, not a liar, by which I mean it's rhetorical. I mean, he's
He uses
someone
a
who
lot
will
of
say,
hyperbole.
Right. He'll say, this, and I think it's rather pleasant to listen to someone talking the way he does. He'll say things like, well, this golf course, we have brought every expert in the world, and they say this is the most beautiful golf course you have ever seen. He'll tell people, no, there's an expert who has looked at this, and the most beautiful woman in the world is Melania, and the second most beautiful is Ivanka. And no, they have experts. This is done scientifically. It's him. And I have an entire chapter on it, the business about him saying there were thousands of Muslims cheering after 9/11. Well, okay, it turns out, no, there were simply hundreds, but he said thousands. That isn't a lie. He's not giving testimony under oath. It's hyperbole, and suddenly Democrats and the media pretend not to understand rhetoric or jokes.
What I say is what I say.
Do you think, though, that for a lot of people that are maybe on the fence and that want to be comfortable to vote for him, because I think there's a number of people out there that are just looking for any reason.
Right.
And I thought one of the things in the debate that he didn't do well was lay out his vision. I thought he did get sidetracked into talking about himself and why not paying his taxes made him smart. I mean, I thought that was a real missed opportunity. Do you think that he has a second chance with these people heading into the debate, or do you think that he's painted himself as an incompetent?
Remember who crushed in the first debate 4 years ago? Mitt Romney. Didn't help him in the end. They just liked the cut of Obama's jib, and Obama came back. I didn't think he was very good, but he interrupted Romney a lot at the next two debates, and the media had their marching orders, even if Mitt Romney wins, do not say he won, and they did it. So, yeah, I think he can definitely come back, and look, for people looking for a reason, I did write, I think the woman, the Kasich voter friend you're talking about, John, I basically wrote my book with her in mind. My book is designed for people who have a problem with certain aspects of Trump. And I think I make a convincing case. That isn't why we're voting for him. He's going to be gone. This is our last shot to save America. His policies are the right policies. And he doesn't have to remember much for the next debate. Just talk about issues
and practice.
Not yourself.
Let's go to David in Los Angeles. David, you're on KABC. Hello.
Yeah. And stop the nonsense. Trump has no policies. He's everything that you teach your kids not to be. For all the good Christians out there, how do you go to church on Sunday and vote for a guy like Donald J. Trump?
You're not a nice person.
Excuse me. Everything he's been involved in is tainted. He doesn't care about the American people. He cares about himself and his ego. There's more to running for president than just banging on people and telling people how great you are. And that's what his policy is. He doesn't have any backbone of any policy. He just believes in Trump. Now I want to listen to you.
To say that someone who finally comes out and stands up for the American people on immigration, not to mention on trade and these endless perpetual wars in the Middle East, is viciously attacked, in the first week he lost tens of millions of dollars for that, as I describe in my book. We all just sat back waiting for him to back down because we've been betrayed so many times on immigration. He never backed down. He has come under relentless attacks for some nobody to call into a radio show and accuse him of having no backbone. No, the one thing Donald Trump has is backbone. He's an imperfect messenger in some ways. I wish he had the fluidity with the English language that Cruz does, at least without the Cruz creepiness. But he is not backing down. Forget about Trump the man. This is about saving. You claim you're a Christian. This is about saving the last Christian country on earth. And when it's gone, everyone is going to suffer. I don't care what foreign leaders pretend to say how frightened they are about Trump. If Trump wins, they are going to be down on their knees thanking God that Trump just won. What exactly did Mexico do to save Europe from the Nazi war machine? Because that's all you're going to be left with. When you, the rest of the world, and our own world have hurricanes, warlords, Nazis, floods, tsunamis, who's going to rush in to help you? Because America is about to slip away from us, and that is it. It's not only lights out for America, it is lights out for the entire world. So do not pretend to be a Christian when you are rooting for the destruction of the last Christian country on earth.
Let's go to Nelson in Los Angeles. Nelson, you're on KABC. Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey there.
I just had a question. I want to get her point of view on why does most most Latinos, Mexican, I'm a Latino, like hate Donald Trump? Is it because of just like the media? Every radio station in the morning, just Spanish talk bad about Donald Trump. Everything's about Hillary. I don't know if they don't do their research or something, but I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
I think you're absolutely right. And I saw a poll, you might be able to look this up, that a slight majority, or at least at neck and neck, Latinos who speak English support Trump. Or, I mean, it was like 39% to 38%. Latinos who do not speak English support Hillary. So, yeah, it's exactly what you're saying. It's Spanish language radio and TV, whom I assume, I mean, you can tell us, Nelson, are denouncing Trump, calling him Hitler, and so on and so forth. But look, the only Latinos who benefit from Hillary's policies are the ones who appear on TV. They are the Jorge Ramoses, because it gives them more power.
Right.
It gives them more media visibility. But actual Latinos... No, I think they'd like more jobs. I think they'd like law and order and safety in their neighborhoods.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like what he said about the creating a wall. I feel like if it's my house, I'm not just gonna let anybody into my house without first knowing them, getting to know them, and then you can come to my house whenever you want, whenever you like. But before that, this is our house, so. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea what that lady is doing running there, and I don't even know why she has one follower. Honestly, I don't know.
Thanks for the call, Nelson. We appreciate it. Ann Coulter, it was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I love sitting with you.
It was very fun, Anne.
Thanks, Alexis.
The book is In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome, available online at Amazon.com. And is the column out today?
Yes, it is. AnnCoulter.com. It's my review of the debate, but I don't do what the rest of my profession apparently does, which is lie and just root for my guy. I'll give it to you straight.
All right. Sounds good. Go get that at AnnCoulter.com.